Good afternoon, and welcome to the first 60-second lecture of Spring 2021. I'm Paul Snigowski, the Stephen A. Levin Family Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. 60-second lectures have been a Penn Arts and Sciences tradition since 2003. In that time, we've heard from our diverse faculty on more than 150 topics, ranging from lost medieval words to unequal life chances to the threat of climate change. As the world faced unprecedented challenges in 2020, the series went virtual and gave scholars an opportunity to share their insight and expertise on the global COVID-19 pandemic and the persisting legacy of racism. This spring, we're featuring lectures on a variety of topics, beginning today with Nicole Rust, an associate professor of psychology. Nicole studies the neural basis of visual memory by combining investigations of human and animal visual memory behaviors, measurements and manipulations of neural activity, and computational modeling. She and her lab are looking at algorithmic descriptions of the brain's learning rules, as well as descriptions of how populations of neurons signal visual memory percepts. They are also working to understand where and how visual memories are stored by targeting the circuit and synaptic mechanisms responsible for visual memory storage. Today, Nicole's topic is, what makes a photograph memorable? I hope you enjoy her talk and that you join us again next Thursday, April 15th at noon to hear Susan Lindy, Janice and Julian Baer's Professor of History and Sociology of Science, on Weaponizing Truth. To see our entire library of lectures, visit us on the Penn Arts and Sciences website or the Penn Arts and Sciences Vimeo library. Now, here's Nicole Rust.
I'm Nicole Rust. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Psychology, and for my 60-second lecture, I'll be telling you about visual memory and what makes a photograph memorable. So the first thing we know is that what drives memorability is not intuitive. So if we ask subjects to predict how memorable images will be, they tend to base their predictions on how beautiful or interesting images are. And we know that those factors are not good predictors of memorability. The second thing we know is that memorability is really complicated. To date, over 75 different attributes of images have been shown to impact an image's memorability. So for example, images with faces in them tend to be more memorable, and images with nature scenes in them tend to be less memorable. The third thing we know is that despite this complexity in terms of how the content of images impacts its memorability, the explanation, if we look in the brain, is pretty straightforward. We know that the most memorable images are the ones that evoke the most vigorous firing rate responses in the visual parts of our brain, so higher stages of visual cortex. The final insight about image memorability is one that comes from artificial intelligence. So we can train deep artificial neural networks to see, and by that I mean to recognize the objects that are present in images. And we find that image memorability naturally emerges in those networks. So like the brain, those networks respond more vigorously to some images than others. And remarkably, those images that the networks respond to are the ones we find most memorable. And this suggests to us that image memory, what we find the most memorable, actually is a consequence of wiring our brains to see.